Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be working on a Supercharged Grand Cherokee again. I got it running good enough I can drive it. It's kind of hard to tell power wise what it's doing, but it's making about 5-6 pounds of boost. I've got a new plate where I had this one where I couldn't get all the holes. It wasn't big enough, so I had to make, just make do for now to make a template out of it. I've got the new plate in. I'll put a link in the description where I ordered it. It was just off Amazon. It's just it's like 3/8 thick plate or something. Anyway, I'll put that up there. But I want to go drive this thing and get a couple recordings of it before I tear it back apart just to make that plate. And then I'm going to go through the measurements on that plate the best I can. I won't be able to have a drawing necessarily to share yet. I'll try to figure out how to do that if anyone else. I've had a couple people ask me about the plate. But I'll try to go through that the best I can so you can replicate it. Other people have done this. I kind of like mine a little better. Some of them are fairly close. It's a plate with a blower bolted to it. You can only differ so much. But I'll show you my opinions on my plate. Right now I think it's sitting just a little crooked, which is going to work out for me alright when I make my new plate, which is that's why I waited. I wanted to drive it and run it and see what it was going to do. Because I don't want to move the back. Let's see. I think it's pointed that way, just a little bit. I think you can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to tell, but so instead of moving the back over, I'm going to move the front over because it's already clearing this hose. The hose is fairly rigid. It's not really going to get into it. So if I can get just a little more room. If this has to move over a 1/4 inch, then I'd be perfectly happy with that. And no worries. Now, I was at the junkyard yesterday. I was trying to run it again yesterday. My fuel rail sprung a leak. This is a different fuel rail, but I guess I got a little too cocky with the heat welding it, and it cracked. Let's see, I'll show you on one of these. It cracked right there. Where I didn't weld it, it just got hot enough that it cracked. And I tried to weld that crack, and I just kept chasing it, and I couldn't make it happen. So I went and got another one, and was just more easy on the heat, as you can see. And I kept a cold rag right there by it. I have even one more. I've got another rail, and I've ordered the spacers. Where are these injectors at? I ordered some spacers. I think they're for an LS3 injector in a truck or something. They extend the injector 0.48 or almost 1/2 inch. It just slides on here and then it has its own O-ring. So I have another fuel rail, and I have those coming because it's the right way to do it. I'm not worried about this one breaking because I was just really easy on the heat and kept it cool. But if you don't have to modify or weld anything, that's the way to do it. Let's see. I've also got to. I'm gonna go get some more heat shrink because I did this so I could run it. The adapter height and everything right here was too tall to work, so I stuck that in that connector and taped it so I could run it. I don't have any more heat shrink here. I'm gonna get some, and I'm just gonna go ahead and solder every one of these in and just get rid of the adapters, put them back on my truck. And I like that it has this tube here because I can do all my solder joints inside that tube, so they're not out here shaking around or gonna break. But right now I want to go down the road and kind of show you what it sounds like, and kind of it'd be hard to tell what it feels like. I think this thing's got a really bad gear ratio. It's supposed to be 355. I think it's like a 307 because first gear takes forever. But we'll go do that before I take it all apart. I got the tune a lot closer. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to put an oil pump in this thing. Like, it's fine when it's cold, but once it gets hot, it gets down around 5, and then the gauge just starts dropping off, and you barely touch the pedal and it's back up. Got my boost gauge rigged up right there. Good old check engine light. so hard to see. There we go. I gotta be on the other side of the sun. It'll be kind of hard to do this and or hold the phone and drive. This thing shifts so early. I also want to watch the mile per hour versus RPM in first, because first lasts forever. And I can calculate the gear ratio without actually getting under it. Alright, let's see. Kind of look like boost is falling off at the top. Sorry, shaky. This is really hard to do. So if you haven't seen before, this is all the plate is right now. I only had 2 bolts holding it in, because this one is so tight right there. On the new plate, I'm going to countersink it and go get a countersunk bolt so it's still sitting flush. And this was already trimmed, so I'll be able to have my new plate. This won't already be gone, so I can put the hole that's right there on the edge. So I'll have all 4 holes that bolt down to that where the AC compressor was bolted down. And where I couldn't get this 3rd hole for the blower, I'll have that too. And now that I've seen where it is, I can straighten it up a little more. But, I'm going to get this plate off of here. And I brought this thing into the kitchen so I have a little contrast. Maybe you can see it a little easier. I've got it square to the edge. See, now I've got this, so I don't have to add on to it. I will have to trim all of this. But now I can mark all these holes down, go get the measurement for this other hole again, and then what I want to do is, now that I have both back holes, that I can have both back holes, I can make sure that the measurement is the same from the edge, so that it should be square and parallel. And if I have this measurement and this measurement square, then I can measure between the two and forward and get the exact center of where this needs to be. And hopefully, I'll know, hopefully it'll be different than where it is right now. It should scoot over a hair. It should straighten the blower out. And then when I'm done with all that, I'll take a tape measure and measure over to each hole from this non-trimmed side. That'll make it easier for me. I can go from the front and from the side to those spots and give you those dimensions before trimming it. And then once that's done, you'll have your whole location, and then you can trim as much as you want wherever you want. To help me get these measurements right, I got some of these from the Harbor Freight, so I can measure from the edge of the hole to the edge of the hole on the other side, both the same edge, and then whenever I scoot it to the middle, it's the same as the centers. So since I have that one marked, I had that there, and then I made the scratch over here. So where these lines intercept, which is kind of hard for you to see, turn this on. Where these lines intercept right there, that one, that's where the second hole is going to be. And then I can do the same thing, kind of measuring from here to here, kind of. And then I can check the measurement this way. If I made two arcs, if this is in the center, which I think it is, I can get that measurement and swing it from this point over and this point over, and where it crosses, maybe that's where it's going to be at. I'm going to try that. Did that, and I've made that mark right there. I'm going to mark it with the Sharpie, and then I'll set the blower on it and just eyeball to see if that's close. It's hard to hold this upright, but I can see all the marks mostly centered. Looks like this one needs to scoot back a hair. And the reason it needs to scoot back is because it's not symmetrical. That's that way. And this is this way. So now I need to reset this, and I can do the same method, just adjust this end of it and it should work. Took a little doing, and I'm propping this up with my hand, but I got it. That worked. That was why it was off. Because this is not, from here to here, isn't the same as here to here. It's not symmetrical. But we got it. For the people that have been asking me for dimensions, pause this and write all this down. Now, they're all weird numbers, like 0.9310. I did all this with calipers. They're not all even. So, but if you've got a pair of calipers, put this on the edge, get it set where you want it, put it on the edge, make a scratch, move it, scratch a line, adjust it again, scratch a line, and put all the dots in these places, and it will work. And I will put a link in the description for where I got this plate. Now I try to do everything off the same edge, here and here, so if you have a different size plate, it won't matter as long as it's long enough. Which 11/037, so 12 inches would get it. It'd be close. This is probably a 12 by 12 plate. So everything's off this edge and off of this edge, so if you have a different size plate, it won't matter. Because if you try measuring from here to here, and here to here, and here to here, and anything else is different here, or this is an 1/8 inch off, it wouldn't work. So everything's working off the same surface. Got the plate all drilled out. These I use 3/8 bolts. I didn't put those dimensions in because it depends on what you're going to use. I used 3/8, so I drilled it 3/8. I believe this is 7/16. The bolt I used was actually a head bolt out of something. These are 8mm. So I forgot to put that in the drawing, But these really depend on what you're going to stick in there. Because I don't think the 3/8 just fit. I think I drilled it out a little. But I didn't give you the dimensions on where to cut this out at, because that's up to you. However you want to cut it out, however fancy you want to get. I've got to trim all this down. I'm going to trim it all the way back to here because the wires were hitting on this side. And there's no use in having anything extra over here. So I'll probably mock it up and cut out as much as possible. I might cut some out here. It doesn't really weigh that much, but might put some speed holes in it or something. But I'm going to get to that, and then hopefully this is the last time I got to put it on for a while. Another note, this one's right under the edge of the blower. You could put a thin bolt or something, but I just countersunk it and got a countersunk bolt for this corner. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to chop all this out. Actually, I probably need to come in here just a little more room on the wires that are right there. Just a little more. I mean, it tucks in there pretty decent, so it's not bad, but a little more room would be nice. So once it gets past this bolt, I'll probably sweep in a little and come back. I forgot to do that, but this is how I'm doing the other side. What I like to do is just find something round. I just use this, trace around it, everything you can, so you got nice rounded edges as much as possible. I'll modify that, and then I'm going to get to cutting. One last shot. I decided on this. That's probably going to weaken that a little bit, but it's so thick, I really don't think it matters. Here it is, done. I gotta say, I'm actually pretty proud of this. It looks really good to me. Now, I had a bunch of washers and nuts stacked up. I went to Ace and got these. They're in the box said steel bushings. These are 3/8, so they're going to work on the back bolts on these two. They just got lucky. They're the same height as the stack up I had. Now for the front bolt, I got this one. It is not the right height, so now I don't have any great way to do it. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to cut it off with the bandsaw, but then I got to try to get it flat. So that's going to take some time with the belt sander. Hopefully I can keep it straight enough. I'd love to get a lathe, but not quite there yet. Took a while, but I got it. Now we'll put this thing together, hopefully for the last time. Until I gotta pull plugs or anything, because I'm gonna have to pull this out of the way even to get the distributor out or some of the wires. Looks like I did get just a bit more clearance. Let's see. Come on. Not a whole lot. I can't tell by the math or, measuring all this out and making it all square off the edges. As long as this bracket's square, which it should be, then that should be square. There's a little wiggle room. I tried to snug those up slowly and move it back and forth, just because it's sitting on these pedestals, and move it back and forth so we try to find its happy spot, like right in the center. I got a little more room there, and when I set a long piece of aluminum across here and look down this way, it looked nice and parallel. I don't have enough hands to do that right now to show you, but I got a little more room there, so that'll work. And I feel a lot better about the bolt situation. Everything's turned out pretty good. I've still got to make an intake. Lots of room everywhere for the plate. Got room on our heater hoses. They just need something to keep them from chafing. Got room on our wires. That one's a little tight, but I think I'll just put some loom on it. It'll be alright. And I think I could probably make some boots, because some of these are 90s, some of these are straights. Putting my hand in there's no reason that I can feel that can't be a 90. If I made that a 90 like that one, it wouldn't hit at all. None of them would. So that's probably the best answer. I'll probably have to buy a kit and make them myself, because all the kits at the parts store, I'm sure, have straights and 90s like the factory did. But it's all on there, so I'm going to slap it back together. That's going to be it for this video. I know that was probably long and drawn out from your side of things. I've had a lot of people ask me about the plate and some dimensions, so I want to put enough detail in there that they could replicate this. I think it's going to work pretty good. I think I mentioned earlier that it's not going to work on the ones that have coil packs. If coil pack, you're going to have to scoot the blower way out. And I've seen some people have a hose that comes all the way around, and I've seen them shove it under here, under the snout instead, just to try to scoot it away to clear those coils. This one has a distributor, so if yours has a distributor, you can use those dimensions I gave you. It will work. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll keep building stuff.